What if the ultimate expression of power in any situation is not the ability to win, but the wisdom to know when to leave the game altogether? In a world that often mistakes stubbornness for strength, what if the most courageous act is to be the first to walk away from what is not meant for you, preserving your peace and your principles above all else? This is the path to profound self-respect and unshakable freedom, and today we will learn to walk it. Be the man who walks away first, always. Stoicism, compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. Know when to stand back. Imagine you are a veteran fire warden, standing on a high ridge overlooking a vast, dry forest. A lightning strike has ignited a small blaze in the valley below. Your experience allows you to assess the situation with a calm, practiced clarity that a novice could never possess. You feel the direction of the wind, you note the extreme dryness of the undergrowth, and you see the steep, inaccessible terrain. You know with a certainty born of long and painful experience that some fires caught early can and should be fought head-on with courage and direct action. But you also possess a deeper, more difficult wisdom. You know that some fires, due to the prevailing conditions, are destined to become uncontrollable infernos. The inner conflict for every man of conscience is to distinguish between these two scenarios. The foolish warden, driven by ego and a desperate need to appear heroic, would rush his crew into the valley to fight every fire, no matter the odds. He would exhaust his precious resources, risk the lives of his men, and ultimately be consumed by a blaze that was, from the very beginning, an unwinnable battle. The wise warden, however, has the courage to make a harder choice. He knows when to stand back. He has the wisdom to recognize an unwinnable fight, and instead of fighting the flames directly, he strategically retreats to a defensible position, clears a wide fire break, and allows the inferno to rage and ultimately burn itself out, preserving his strength, his resources, and his crew for the vital work of rebuilding and for the many future battles that can and must be won. The painful and debilitating problem in our own lives is that we are often the foolish fire warden. We feel a deep-seated cultural and personal obligation to fight every fire, to stay in every battle to the bitter, exhausting end. We believe that walking away from a failing project, a toxic relationship, a soul-crushing job, or even just a pointless argument is an admission of failure, an act of cowardice. We are trapped by the sunk cost fallacy. The irrational belief that because we have already invested so much time, energy, and emotion into a situation, we must continue to pour even more resources into the blaze. This leads to a life of profound burnout, where our spirit is slowly incinerated. We become bitter, cynical, and resentful because we are wasting our most precious and non-renewable resources. Our time, our attention, our energy, our very life force, on a fire that was never truly ours to extinguish in the first place. Our stubborn refusal to stand back is the very thing that ensures we will be consumed by the flames. The transformative solution is to cultivate the clear-eyed, strategic wisdom of the veteran fire warden, to develop the clarity to rationally assess a situation and the courage to know when the most powerful, the most strategic, and the most self-respecting move is to stand back, create a fire break, and let the fire burn itself out without taking you with it. The core Stoic idea is that a man of wisdom, a true leader of his own life, applies his finite resources only to battles that are aligned with his purpose and that are, in some way, winnable. The Stoic practices a form of spiritual triage, a constant assessment of his environment. He asks himself, with the dispassionate clarity of a general, is this situation helping me to practice virtue? Is it aligned with my core principles? Is my engagement here productive? Or, he must ask, is this a toxic, chaotic inferno that is simply draining my energy, degrading my character, and pulling me away from my true purpose? This is not about seeking comfort. It is about strategic engagement. The benefit of developing this wisdom is immense. You conserve your most precious resources for the things, the people, and the projects that truly matter. You stop wasting your one and only life in pointless, unwinnable battles of ego and attachment. You develop a reputation, most importantly with yourself, for being a wise strategist who knows how to choose his engagements, which earns you far more respect than a reputation for being a stubborn brawler who fights every fight to the last. The actionable step to cultivate this wisdom is to practice the virtue audit. When you find yourself in a difficult, draining, and prolonged situation, take out a journal and answer these brutally honest questions as if you were a commander writing a field report. 1. Is this situation, as it currently stands, helping me become a more patient, courageous, and wise person, or is it consistently making me more angry, fearful, and resentful? 2. What is the story I am telling myself about why I have to stay? Is that story based on fact and my core values, or is it based on fear, ego, or a misplaced sense of obligation? 3. If the wisest and most courageous version of myself were advising me, would he tell me to continue pouring my resources into this fire, or would he advise me to retreat to a more defensible position? This audit is the courageous act of stepping back to assess the fire from a safe distance. It is the application of pure, dispassionate reason to a situation that is often clouded by the smoke of emotion and attachment. Be ruthlessly honest with your answers. The clarity you gain will give you the strength and permission to know when it is time to walk away. I urge you to perform this audit on one difficult and draining situation in your life this week. See the situation for what it truly is, not what your ego wants it to be. Knowing when to stand back is the first step in the strategy of a wise warrior. But how do we execute the departure itself with strength, dignity, and inner peace? Our next lesson is on mastering the art of the silent, powerful goodbye. Before we continue, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to continue your training in the art of wise and strategic living. Lesson 2. Master the silent goodbye. Imagine the sun at the end of a long and brilliant day. It has shone its light, it has given its warmth, it has fulfilled its purpose. Its work for now is done. It does not linger in the sky, arguing with the coming twilight. It does not slam a metaphorical door on its way out, nor does it deliver a final, angry, accusatory speech to the world below. It simply withdraws its light with a quiet, inevitable, graceful, and profoundly dignified power. Its departure is silent, beautiful, and complete. There is no drama, only a serene and powerful sense of closure. This is the nature of a master's goodbye. The inner conflict we face is that when we do finally make the difficult and courageous decision to leave a situation, we often do so with the sound and fury of a summer thunderstorm, not the quiet dignity of the setting sun. We believe our departure needs a grand, dramatic finale to be valid. The painful problem is that we often feel an overwhelming need to justify our departure with a dramatic and noisy exit. We instigate one final, explosive argument. We write and send a long, multi-page email or text message, meticulously and self-righteously outlining all the other person's faults and failures. We burn the bridge to the ground with a flurry of angry, wounding words, driven by an ego that desperately needs to have the last say and to be seen as the winner of the conflict. We do this because our ego, still deeply entangled, craves one final moment of validation and vindication. It wants to punish the other person, to prove them wrong, and to emerge from the wreckage as the triumphant party. However, this dramatic exit is actually a profound sign of weakness, not strength. It reveals that we are still deeply emotionally enmeshed, that we still care immensely about the other person's reaction, and that we are still seeking a final emotional hit from the interaction, even a negative one. This messy departure leaves us feeling not vindicated, but drained, agitated, and with a toxic residue of regret that can linger for years. The transformative solution is to learn the art of the silent, stoic goodbye. It is the difficult but essential discipline of walking away cleanly, calmly, and with a quiet dignity that prioritizes your own inner peace and self-respect above the ego's desire for a dramatic final scene. The core idea is that a dramatic, noisy exit is a confession that you are not yet in control of your emotions. It is a sign that you are still a prisoner of the dynamic you are trying to escape. A calm, silent, or minimally verbal goodbye, on the other hand, is a powerful declaration that you have achieved true detachment and are acting from a place of centered sovereign reason, not from a desire to punish, to wound, to seek revenge, or to have the last word. The Stoic warrior understands that the ultimate victory in leaving a toxic situation is to leave with his own tranquility intact. Any action that disturbs that tranquility, no matter how justified it may feel in the heat of the moment, is a strategic failure. The benefit of mastering this clean exit is that you get to be the author of your own departure narrative. You leave with your dignity, your self-respect, and your peace of mind, not just preserved, but enhanced. It provides a clean, psychological closure that a dramatic, messy, and emotionally charged exit can never offer. It is the final, powerful act of a man who is in complete and quiet control of himself. The actionable step is to practice formulating a statement of departure. This is a simple, clear, final, and non-accusatory sentence that you can have ready in your mind for when you need to leave a situation. The goal is to be firm, final, and free of blame. Examples include, I have reflected on this and have realized this situation is no longer a healthy one for me, and so I am choosing to step away. I wish you well. Or, for a business context, after careful consideration, I've come to see that our core values are no longer aligned, and I cannot continue on this path. My decision is final. Or, in the heat of a pointless argument, this conversation is no longer productive or respectful, so I am going to leave now. The key to these statements is their calm finality. They are not invitations to a debate, they are declarations of a decision already made. After delivering the statement, you must embrace the silence. Do not get drawn back into a negotiation, a justification, or an argument. Your decision is made. Your exit is as quiet and certain as the setting sun. I challenge you this week to think of a past situation you left messily. In your journal, rewrite your exit by crafting a clean, powerful statement of departure you could have used instead. This is how you train your mind for future grace. Learning to leave cleanly is a skill. But what is the inner state of being that makes this difficult action possible? Our next lesson is on the crucial art of detaching from the needy attachments that keep us from leaving in the first place. If you believe in the power of a dignified, peaceful exit, please like this video. Lesson 3. Detach from needy attachments. Imagine a magnificent hot air balloon, its great envelope filled with heated, buoyant air. It is straining to rise, to break free from the earth and soar into the vast open sky. But it remains stuck firmly on the ground, helplessly tethered by a dozen thick ropes and heavy, cumbersome sandbags. These tethers represent our needy attachments, our desperate desire for a specific outcome, our crippling fear of loss, our craving for another person's approval or love. The inner conflict is that while one part of us, the part filled with buoyant air, yearns to rise, to walk away, to be free, another, more fearful part of us is terrified of cutting the ropes that keep us tethered to our familiar, predictable, and often painful situation. The painful problem is that we so often fail to walk away from unhealthy situations, a toxic relationship, a soul-crushing job, a dysfunctional family dynamic, because we are needily attached to a particular outcome. We need the other person to change and finally see our worth. We need the failing project to succeed, to validate all the effort we have poured into it. We need the approval of people who consistently disrespect us. This deep-seated, desperate neediness is what makes us completely powerless. We are not free to leave because our entire sense of well-being, our very happiness, has been tied to an external outcome that, as the Stoics remind us, is ultimately outside of our direct control. We become a prisoner of our own attachments, voluntarily handing the key to our cage to the very situation or person that is causing us pain. This is a state of profound and self-inflicted emotional slavery. The transformative solution is to become the clear-eyed, courageous balloonist who understands that in order to rise, he must have the strength to take out his knife and one by one cut the ropes. It is the Stoic art of transforming a needy, desperate attachment into a calm, rational preference. The core idea is the crucial philosophical distinction between preferring an outcome and needing it. The Stoic warrior can certainly and rationally prefer that a relationship works out, that a business succeeds, or that people think well of him. These are natural and preferred indifferents in Stoic terminology. However, he He does not need any of these things to maintain his inner peace, his virtue, or his fundamental sense of self-worth. His happiness is not contingent on getting his preferences met. He knows that his well-being, his eudaimonia, comes from his own character and his own virtuous actions, which are always within his control. This rational detachment from outcomes is what gives him the profound freedom to walk away when a situation requires it, when staying would compromise his virtue. The benefit of this is that you become psychologically free and sovereign. You can engage with people and projects with passion, excellence, and commitment, but you are not emotionally destroyed if they do not turn out the way you had hoped. You stop clinging and you start choosing. Your decision to stay in any situation becomes a conscious, powerful choice made from a position of strength, not a needy compulsion born of fear. This paradoxically makes you a far more attractive and powerful presence. The actionable step to cultivate this detachment is to practice the preference versus necessity audit. Identify one situation or relationship in your life that you are clinging to out of a sense of need. Take out your journal and ask yourself this brutally honest question. Do I truly, fundamentally need this specific outcome for my survival and my ability to be a good, virtuous person? Or do I simply, though perhaps very strongly, prefer it? Then take it a step further. Write out a detailed description of how you would not only survive, but could even thrive and continue to be a good person if you did not get what you preferred. For example, I would strongly prefer for this person to love me, but I do not need it to live a virtuous life. My worth is not dependent on them. If they leave, I will feel pain, and I will allow myself to feel it with courage. But I will endure it. I will focus on my purpose. I will strengthen my other relationships, and I will continue to be a man of integrity. This powerful exercise mentally cuts the rope of attachment. It forces you to rehearse your own self-sufficiency and reminds you that your core self, your soul, your character is not at stake. I urge you to try this powerful reframe on one of your strongest attachments this week. Turn your desperate need into a calm preference, and you will discover your freedom. Detachment frees us from clinging to bad situations, but often it's the sheer chaos of the situation itself that draws us in and keeps us stuck. How do we learn to recognize and walk away from chaos? That is our next lesson. Please comment below and share one need in your life that you can begin to reframe as a preference. Lesson 4. Walk away from chaos. Imagine you are a wise and peaceful traveler walking down a long road on a journey to a specific, important destination. Up ahead, you come upon a chaotic, noisy tavern. Inside, a massive brawl has broken out. People are shouting insults, chairs are being thrown across the room, and there's a swirling vortex of mindless, drunken, and destructive energy. A foolish traveler, perhaps one seeking excitement or driven by a misguided sense of honor, might see the brawl and feel an irresistible pull to rush inside and join the fray. A naive traveler, full of self-importance, might go inside believing he can single-handedly stop the fight and bring peace and reason to the chaos. Both of these travelers will almost certainly end up bruised, battered, distracted, and drawn into a conflict that was never theirs to begin with, completely derailing them from their own important journey. The wise traveler, however, assesses the situation from the doorway. He recognizes it instantly as a pointless and destructive vortex of chaos, and he simply, calmly continues on his journey down the road, preserving his peace, his safety, and his energy for his own true purpose. The inner conflict for us is that we are often the naive traveler who feels strangely and powerfully compelled to enter the brawl. The painful problem is that we frequently get drawn into other people's drama, conflicts, and chaos. We do this for many complex reasons. A misplaced sense of loyalty to a chaotic friend or family member, an arrogant belief that we can fix them or their situation, a secret love for the adrenaline and self-righteousness of a good fight, or simply because we get hooked by the powerful, magnetic, emotional energy of the drama. We insert ourselves into arguments that have nothing to do with us. We take on the heavy emotional burdens of chronically chaotic people, and we allow our own tranquil inner world to be consumed by the fire of their making. We tell ourselves we are helping, but we are often just becoming another piece of fuel for their blaze. Our own important journey, our own purpose, comes to a complete and total halt while we are busy brawling in someone else's tavern. The transformative solution is to cultivate the wisdom of the traveler who recognizes that you are not obligated to accept every invitation to a fight. It is the profound understanding that the strongest, wisest, and most self-respecting move is often to refuse to enter the tavern brawl altogether. The core Stoic idea is that you are the supreme guardian of your own tranquility and your own attention. Your inner peace, your apatheia, is your most precious possession, and your focus is your most valuable resource. To voluntarily surrender these things by immersing yourself in unnecessary external chaos is a profound dereliction of your primary duty to yourself. The Stoic warrior chooses his battles with extreme and deliberate care. He asks, is this my fight to fight? Is my participation here truly necessary, truly virtuous, and likely to be productive? If the answer is no, he conserves his strength and walks on without a second thought. The benefit of this is that you preserve your vital energy, your focus, and your peace of mind for your own life and your own sacred purpose. You stop being a drama magnet and instead become an island of calm and stability. People will learn that you are not a participant in needless chaos, which will have one of two effects. They will either learn to be calmer around you, or they will seek their chaos elsewhere. Either outcome protects your peace. The actionable step is to practice the chaos check. The next time you feel yourself being pulled into a dramatic situation, a heated online argument, a juicy piece of office gossip, a recurring family drama that never gets resolved, you must pause. Before you engage, before you type a single word or make a single comment, ask yourself these three essential gatekeeping questions. 1. Is this truly my fight? Am I a primary and necessary party in this conflict, or am I just a spectator with an opinion? 2. Is my participation here likely to be genuinely productive and lead to a virtuous, positive resolution, or is it far more likely to just add more fuel to the fire? 3. Is engaging in this chaos the absolute best, most noble, and most purposeful use of my limited time, attention, and life force right now? This simple but powerful checklist acts as your personal bouncer, your guard at the door of the chaotic tavern. It will give you the clarity and the permission you need to realize that in most cases, the wisest and strongest course of action is to not get involved. I challenge you this week to use the chaos check to consciously decline one invitation to a brawl. Experience the profound power and peace of simply walking on. Walking away from external chaos requires an inner strength. How do we build the kind of self-reliant strength that makes us unafraid to walk alone? Our next lesson explores this very topic. If you are ready to stop participating in unnecessary chaos, please like this video. Lesson 5. Embrace self-reliant strength. Imagine two distinct birds, each a symbol of a different way of being. The first is a domesticated chicken, living its entire life in a small, safe coop. It is entirely dependent on the farmer for its food, its water, its shelter, and its safety from predators. It has never learned to find its own sustenance, to build its own home, or to protect itself from danger. If the farmer were to disappear one day, the chicken, despite its apparent safety, would be helpless and would likely perish very quickly. The second bird is a magnificent solitary eagle, soaring high above the rugged mountains. It depends on no one and nothing but its own skill and strength. It builds its own nest on the highest cliffs. It hunts its own food with lethal precision and power. It defends its territory with a fierce and fearless courage. Its strength, its freedom, and its very survival come not from external support, but from its own profound and practiced self-reliance. The inner conflict we face is that our society often encourages us to be the safe, comfortable, and dependent chicken, while our soul, the eagle within, yearns for the freedom, power, and dignity of the open sky. The painful problem is that we often hesitate to walk away from bad and limiting situations. A toxic job with a steady paycheck, an unhealthy relationship that provides a sense of comfort, a dependent living situation that feels safe, because we secretly fear that we cannot survive on our own. We doubt our ability to find our own food, make our own money, to build our own nest, create our own home and stability, and to navigate the unpredictable world without the safety net we have become accustomed to, however frayed it may be. This deep fear of being alone, of having to rely solely and completely on ourselves, is what keeps us trapped in gilded cages. We voluntarily trade our freedom and our potential for a perceived sense of security, forgetting that a dependent security is the most fragile and precarious kind of all, for it can be taken away from us at any moment by a force outside of our control. The transformative solution is to decide to become the eagle. It is the conscious and deliberate cultivation of a radical self-reliance, not just in the practical sense, but more importantly, in the emotional and psychological sense, so that you have the unshakable, bone-deep confidence to walk away from any situation that is not serving your growth and your virtue. The core Stoic idea is that the sage, the ideal wise person, is a self-sufficient being. His happiness, his peace, and his sense of worth come from his own virtue and his own well-ordered mind, not from external people, possessions, or circumstances. He is friendly, he engages with the world, he contributes to his community, but he is not dependent on any of it for his fundamental well-being. He is like a perfect sphere, as Marcus Aurelius described, perfectly smooth and self-contained, rolling through the world without needing to cling to anything for support. The benefit of this is that it makes you truly, profoundly free. When you know, at your very core, that you can rely on yourself to handle life's challenges and to provide for your own needs, you are no longer afraid to walk away from situations that compromise your integrity. This self-reliance also, paradoxically, makes you a much better partner, friend, and colleague. You engage with others not out of a desperate neediness, but out of a free and conscious choice. You become a gift to be shared, not a beggar seeking a handout, and this is why it commands such deep respect. The actionable step is to begin a self-reliance project. Identify one specific area of your life where you feel overly dependent on someone or something else. This could be emotional, relying on a partner to regulate your moods and make you feel okay. Practical, not knowing how to cook, manage your finances, or fix basic things. Or psychological, needing others' approval to feel confident. Then, make a concrete, step-by-step plan to develop your own capacity in that one area. For example, if you are emotionally dependent, your project might be to start a daily meditation and journaling practice to learn to self-soothe. If you lack a practical skill, sign up for a class or watch tutorials and practice until you are competent. By intentionally and systematically building your skills and your capacity for self-sufficiency, you are gathering real-world evidence of your own competence and strength. You are proving to yourself through action that you are the eagle, not the chicken. I urge you to choose one self-reliance project to begin this month. Take one small, concrete step toward becoming the powerful, free, and self-sufficient person you are meant to be. Of course, even the most self-reliant person can be held back from walking away by one powerful and paralyzing emotion: guilt. How do we learn to set boundaries and walk away without being crippled by a feeling of false responsibility? Our next lesson will tackle this crucial challenge head-on. Please comment below and share one area of self-reliance you are committed to building in your life. Lesson 6. Cultivate boundaries without guilt. Imagine a sovereign nation with clearly marked, internationally recognized borders. At the primary border crossing stands a professional and calm immigration officer. It is her solemn duty to enforce the laws of her nation, to decide who is granted entry and who must be turned away. When she denies a visa to a traveler who does not meet the legal criteria, she does so with professional calm, with dignity, and with resolve. She does not feel a wave of crippling personal guilt. She does not apologize profusely or second-guess her decision. She understands, at a fundamental level, that she is not responsible for the traveler's disappointment or anger. She is responsible only for upholding the integrity and the laws of her nation's borders. It is her sworn duty. A man's personal boundaries are the borders of his own sovereign nation, the nation of his time, his energy, his resources, and his mental and emotional peace. The inner conflict we face is that when we try to act as the border guard for our own lives, we are often flooded with immense, paralyzing, and inappropriate guilt. The painful problem is that many of us are culturally and socially conditioned to feel that setting a firm boundary, especially the ultimate boundary of walking away from a person or situation, is a cruel, selfish, and aggressive act. We feel, wrongly, that we are responsible for the other person's emotional reaction to our decision. If they are hurt, angry, disappointed, or sad when we walk away from a dynamic that is harming us, we feel a crushing sense of guilt, as if we are a bad or uncaring person for having caused them pain. This guilt is a powerful, self-imposed cage. It can keep us trapped in toxic relationships, draining friendships, and soul-crushing jobs for years, even decades, all because we have taken on the impossible and inappropriate burden of managing the feelings of other capable adults. The transformative solution is to internalize the mindset of the professional, dispassionate border guard. It is to understand, at a deep and liberating level, that setting and enforcing a healthy boundary is a calm, rational, and necessary act of self-respect, and that the emotional response of the other person is, and always will be, their responsibility, not yours. The core Stoic idea that frees us from the prison of guilt is, once again, the powerful and practical dichotomy of control. Your decision to walk away from a situation that compromises your virtue and your peace is your choice, your action, and therefore, your responsibility. You must own it. The other person's emotional reaction to your decision is a product of their own judgments, their own expectations, their own history, and their own inner state. It is therefore their choice, their action, and their responsibility. The wise Stoic warrior draws a clear, bright line between the two. He acts with integrity, clarity, and even compassion, but he firmly refuses to take ownership of things that do not belong to him, and that includes the feelings of others. The benefit of this is that it liberates you to act in your own best interest and in alignment with your values without being paralyzed by false guilt. You can make clean, clear, and self-respecting decisions, which allows you to gracefully exit unhealthy dynamics and create a life that is truly your own. The actionable step to practice this is the responsibility split exercise. The next time you feel guilty about setting a boundary or walking away, take out your journal. Draw a line down the middle of a page. On the left side, write the heading, My Responsibilities. On the right side, write Their Responsibilities. Under your column, list what you are truly responsible for in this situation. For example, to communicate my decision clearly and respectfully, to act with integrity and honesty, to take care of my own mental and emotional well-being. Under their column, list what they are responsible for. To manage their own emotional reaction, to respect my decision, even if they don't like it, to find their own sources of happiness and validation. This simple visual exercise creates a powerful psychological separation. It clarifies what is your burden to carry and what is not. It allows you to release the heavy, toxic, and inappropriate weight of false responsibility. I urge you to use this powerful tool anytime you feel the paralyzing grip of guilt when trying to protect yourself. Own what is yours and have the wisdom to let go of what is not. This brings us to our final lesson: how to synthesize all of these skills to become, in our very bones, the man who has the strength to leave. Our final lesson is on becoming the man who leaves. If this lesson has helped you, please share it with someone in your life who struggles with feelings of guilt when setting boundaries. Lesson 7. Become the man who leaves. Imagine the North Star, Polaris, fixed and brilliant in the vast dark night sky. It is a constant, reliable, and powerful point of reference for all sailors and travelers who navigate the wilderness below. If a ship, for its own reasons, decides to sail south away from the star's guidance, the North Star does not panic. It does not chase the ship, pleading with it to return. It does not try to change its own nature to be more appealing to the ship. It does not feel abandoned or diminished by the ship's departure. It simply remains fixed in its celestial position, confident in its own nature, continuing to shine its unwavering light, a steadfast guide for all who choose to navigate by it. To become the man who leaves is to cultivate this quiet, unshakable, and profound confidence of the North Star. The final inner conflict on this journey is our tendency to view walking away as a single, painful tactic to be used only in the most dire of emergencies, rather than as a core, integrated, and ever-present component of our very character. The painful problem with this view is that if we only think of walking away as a last resort, a nuclear option, we will always hesitate to use it. We will always try to cling on, to fix, to manage, and to control a bad situation for far too long, because the act of leaving feels like a monumental failure, a tragic and dramatic end to a battle we have lost. This mindset ensures that we will almost always leave too late, long after we have already sacrificed too much of our peace, our energy, our time, and our self-respect. We fail to see that the ever-present willingness to leave is not a sign of failure, but the ultimate sign of profound strength and radical self-valuation. The transformative solution is the final and most powerful synthesis of all the lessons we have covered. It is to integrate them into a new core identity, to become the man whose self-respect and commitment to his own virtue are so absolute that he will always walk away, calmly and without tortured deliberation, from any dynamic that requires him to compromise his character. The core idea is that this constant, quiet willingness to walk away is the ultimate expression of your self-worth and the true source of your greatest power in any relationship or situation. When you are not afraid of the outcome, when you are not afraid of loss, when you are not afraid to walk away and rely on yourself, you become truly and profoundly free. You can engage with the world with a full and open heart, precisely because you know that you will never, ever abandon yourself. Paradoxically, this very willingness to leave is what makes your decision to stay in any healthy, respectful situation so powerful and so valuable. A man who stays in a relationship or a job out of fear, dependency, or neediness offers a chained, imprisoned commitment. A man who stays out of a free and conscious choice, knowing with bone-deep certainty that he has the strength and self-reliance to leave at any time, offers a gift of immense and respectable value. The benefit of this is that you become a man of profound integrity and freedom. You build relationships based on conscious choice, not on unconscious necessity. You live a life that is in true and beautiful alignment with your deepest values, because you systematically and calmly remove yourself from situations that are not. The actionable step is to create and internalize a sovereignty vow. This is a personal vow, a declaration of your inner independence that you write down and review regularly until it becomes a part of your very soul. It could be something like this: my inner peace and my character are my most valuable possessions. They are not negotiable. I will always have the courage to walk away from any person, any job, or any situation that consistently requires me to sacrifice my integrity. My power lies in my freedom to leave, and my value lies in my choice to stay. I am my own North Star. By reading this vow regularly, you are embedding this powerful principle into your very being. It becomes your default setting, your core operating system. You are the North Star, confident in your own position, shining your own light. I urge you to write your own sovereignty vow this week. Let it be the final piece of your mental armor, the profound declaration of your own freedom and unwavering self-respect. We have journeyed through the 7 great disciplines of the Stoic man who walks away, from knowing when to stand back from a losing battle to the final, quiet power of the sovereign exit. This path teaches us that true strength is not found in clinging tighter or winning every fight, but in cultivating the profound wisdom and courage to let go of what is not meant for us, thereby preserving our peace, our purpose, and our self-respect. Thank you for taking this time to explore this powerful philosophy of self-mastery and freedom. If this video has served you on your journey, please like this video, comment with your greatest insight, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel for more wisdom on building a life of profound strength, integrity, and purpose.